Hey everybody, welcome in. These are my favorite videos because I always like to know where I stand and measure everything. And everybody always asks me, well, if I have this, where am I in what I call the wealth pyramid of Bitcoin? So we'll look at all the distribution, how the distribution has changed over the last 5 years, where you may stand if you're a crab or a fish or a shrimp. And there's good news as well that owning any Bitcoin puts you ahead of 99.4% of the planet. So let's jump in and make sure everything is working. You guys hear me? Da-da-da. Testing. yeah. Sorry, little tight audio problem this morning. Anyway, and a shout out to as well Patreon. Dave Tyler says, just joined Patreon yesterday. Big believer in the channel. Thank you so much. All the support for everybody make all this possible. Now, first, we'll start with a fun fact before we get into the nitty-gritty of the wealth pyramid. What makes this particularly interesting is a lot of people believe Bitcoin one day will go to $1 million per coin. That's why I've always been pushing whole coinership in a big way. That means owning one whole Bitcoin to yourself. But if Bitcoin does hit $1 million per coin, that means a Satoshi will be worth 1 cent and 100 Satoshis will be $1. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And that means that in theory, Bitcoin could facilitate micropayments on a scale that is currently not possible with traditional fiat currencies. So super exciting. And of course, I forgot my key again. Okay, Bitcoin Cohort Refresher. For those of you who may not remember, we have a new category called Krill. They are the 0 to 0.1 Bitcoin, because now that Bitcoin is much more valuable, even 0.1 of a Bitcoin is a game changer. Shrimp, 0.1 to 1. Crab, 1 to 10. Octopus, 10 to 100. Dolphin, 100 to 1,000. Shark, 1,000 to 10,000. Whale, 10,000 to 100,000. I know that's a killer whale, but I had to be distinctive from the humpback whale. There are people that have over 100,000 Bitcoin. Now, what has happened? I've been doing this for 5 years. Let's see exactly how things have changed. And by the way, this will be interrupted a lot more with the advent of things like MicroStrategy stacking, people owning MicroStrategy shares instead of Bitcoin, also the ETFs coming in other parts of the world, like Hong Kong tonight. We'll see what happens. But this, to break this down, it's a little bit tricky, and a shout out as well to everybody in the community for being here. Hi Linda, thank you for coming. Thank you to K8, T&D Tesla, Sean Donnelly as well for moderating and keeping us all safe from scammers. So this chart illustrates the evolution of Bitcoin ownership among the different cohorts. I'll walk you through it. Down the left, you've got the animals starting with krill, all the way to humpback whale at the bottom. And then you have the amount of Bitcoin that they own at different periods in time. January 2020, January 2021, January 2022, January 2023, September 2023, and now basically the end of April 2024. You can call it May 1st, 2024. Now, if you look at exactly what's happened, there's been a lot of shakeup, and it's kind of hard to see exactly what's happened. But if you go, for example, starting with the smallest cohort, Krill, they hold 0 to 0.1 Bitcoin. And they've had a big variation in where they've gone over time, starting at 194,000. And right now, they have about 311,000 Bitcoin. Shrimp started at 652,000 Bitcoin. Now they own 1.08 million Bitcoin. Crabs, 1.6 million, now 2.1 million. Octopus fish, 4.4 million, now 4.3 million. That's over 5 years, so really octopus fish has been very, very stable. Dolphins have gone up from 3.5 million to 3.86 million. Sharks, 4.79 million to 4.8 million. Whales, 2.3 million to 2.37. Slight change there. And humpback whales from 491,000 Bitcoin to 830,000 Bitcoin. Now remember as well, over this period of time, there's been Bitcoin inflation. So there's more Bitcoin in the system than ever before. So all of these cohorts are growing, but some are growing faster than others. So I put together a chart to try to represent exactly how quickly they are growing and see if this makes more sense. So these are the different cohorts, and I put little stars on them so you could kind of see them, but how they change. And then I thought, well, looking at this kind of makes no sense. So what I did was overlaid the bear market over this chart to show you exactly what's going on. So if you look at things like shrimp, believe it or not, they shrank during the bear market. They got fed up and they left. What is very interesting to note is the sharks and the whales. The whales are the little star, light blue line in the middle going up during the bear market. And the sharks, they are the round, the light blue dot at the bottom as well, straight up. Notice the sharks and the whales did the same thing. What do? They stacked Bitcoin during the bear market. And if you look carefully at the sharks, they are still stacking. They're the only cohort that are still stacking. And I know you're asking, what's a shark again? Well, the sharks have 1,000 to 10,000 Bitcoin. And that's a big, big dramatic change as well. But remember, watch what the big players do. You can learn a lot from their activities. So let's look at some more data around all these cohorts. And then we get to the wealth pyramid in a minute. So here you can see how it's all broken down in this, I think it's called a donut pie chart. You got your krills. The amount of Bitcoin that they own is 1.6%, shrimp 5.5%, crabs 10.7%, octopus and fish 21.9%, dolphins 19.6%. What's interesting is the octopus and fish and the dolphins own about 40%, which is the same as the sharks, the whales, and the humpbacks. They own about 40% as well. And the other 20% is split amongst everybody, crabs or less. So I think that's a super interesting breakdown. Another view of this world is this. How many addresses are in each cohort? So this one is how much Bitcoin do they own of all the Bitcoin. This one is how many owners of that slice are there. And you can see we only have 3 humpback whales. We have 102 whales, but we have 48.52 million krill. Lots and lots of krill. We've got 3.5 million shrimp. We've got 859,000 crabs, 137,000 fish and dolphins, etc. 2,000 sharks. And remember, the sharks and the whales, those last two, not the humpbacks, the sharks and the whales are the ones that stack during the bear. And there's only 2,100 of them. So again, watch what they do next time around. It's fascinating to see. By the way, we do have a poll going as well. So I know the mods will tell me what the results of that are. And I can actually maybe take a screenshot of it too. Let me see if I get it at the time. And I will include it at the end because we have nearly 1,000 votes. So I took a screenshot now and I'll take another one later. Now, let's go to the average wealth of holdings by cohort. So if you are a krill or a shrimp or a dolphin, what is the average bag size of that cohort? Another interesting thing I like to look at. So if you're a krill, you own, on average, $405 of Bitcoin. If you are a shrimp, you own now $19,000. Last time I did this, it was about $6,000. But because the price of Bitcoin's gone up, so has the value of a shrimp bag. And people just think a shrimp bag is small. No, it's not small anymore. The average crab is $154,000. Average octopus and fish is $2 million. So if you are an octopus or a fish, you're set. Pretty much. Dolphins, 17.6 million. Sharks, $150 million average bag. Whale, $1.46 billion. And a humpback, $17.5 billion. Massive, massive amounts of wealth here. Now, let's look at one other element as well. And a quick reminder of the cohorts, the range, and how they've changed in another visual, so you can get a feel for exactly what's happening. So the most striking takeaway from this chart is the significant difference in the average Bitcoin bag size held by the largest cohort, the humpback, compared to the smaller cohorts. The humpback cohort, representing whales holding between 100,000 plus, has an average bag size rate ranging, started with 163, 141. You can see the way it shrinks at certain times. They kind of get out of the market, right, going into a bear market. And then they grow it as well pretty drastically. So now the average bag size for a humpback whale is 276,000. It has never been this high for a very, very long time. And that's interesting too. And also, in contrast, the average bag sizes of the smaller cohorts are vastly lower. Krills range from 0.006 Bitcoin to 0.007, shrimp 0.3 to 0.32. It's always pretty tidy, pretty tight. Same thing with the crabs. Your average crab has about 2.6 to 2.5 Bitcoin. And then the octopus fish, 32, 31.5, etc. Dolphins, about 250 to 280. Sharks, about 2,300 to 2,500, give or take. And whales, 22,000 to 23,000. And it's stunning to me how stable these cohorts remain in terms of bag size, but the value goes up, and it's super interesting. And I do expect this is going to shake up a lot as the ETFs get more widely adopted. We currently have about 830,000 Bitcoin in the ETFs, and these will skew these results in time a lot more too. All of these videos are turned into Substack by our team, and we're very grateful to them as well. If you want to have a recap of this afterwards, it'll be there. Also, some key Bitcoin percentiles that I find fascinating too as well. So at the bottom of the food chain, we have the tiny krill and shrimp. They represent the bottom 50% of Bitcoin holders, but collectively hold only 7.1% of the Bitcoin supply. And these small investors, while numerous, we're talking 53 million of them, had limited individual holdings compared to others. But still, it's nice to see that widespread adoption, and they will grow over time. And moving up the ranks as well, the crab cohort occupies the 50th to 80th percentile, and they hold a respectable 10.7% of the Bitcoin supply. And these mid-sized holders play a crucial role in maintaining the stability and liquidity within the market too. Octopus fish group, these are between the 80th and 90th percentile. They hold 21.9% of the total Bitcoin. And the top 10% of Bitcoin holders, we've got the dolphin cohort. They occupy the 90th to 99th percentile. And they hold 19.6% of the total as well. And then at the apex, you've got the sharks, the apex predator, and whale cohorts. And they are the top 1%. And they command an astonishing 40.7% of the Bitcoin supply. And this concentration of wealth among the largest holders is a concern for some. Maybe they also have the ability to manipulate. But at the same time, it's good to see so many people that are out there in the space. And if you add up dolphin, shark, and whales, combined, they have 60.3% of the actual space. Now remember, this analysis is done by the number of addresses, but we know, and a big thank you and a shout out to the Blockware Solutions team, we know there's a big difference between addresses, the total number of addresses, and the total entities. So there's 1.15 billion addresses, but only 36,800 Bitcoin unique users. And that's very important to know because many people can have many addresses. In fact, I know a lot of people have 10 or 20 addresses. And this takes us to the Bitcoin wealth pyramid. How many Bitcoin do you need to be in a certain percentile of Bitcoiners out there on the planet? I'm the only one that does this. And here, this is super interesting. And it hasn't changed that much so far. We haven't seen a huge impact. But if you want to be, well, what has actually changed, because last time I did this, it was a third of the cost to be in these percentiles. But Bitcoin has tripled since September last year. So to be in the top 0.1% of Bitcoin holders, you still need more than 21 Bitcoin. And that bag will cost you $1.35 million today. And to be in the top 1% of Bitcoin holders, you still need about greater than 3.5 Bitcoin. And that will cost you $220,000 on the nose. By the way, if you want to be in the top half of 1 percentile, you need more than 6.8 Bitcoin. You can see the big jump to go from the top 1% to the top 0.5%. It's only 3 more Bitcoin. So as I say, the air gets very thin the higher we go up this food chain. And to be in the top 5% of Bitcoin holders, all you need is 0.13 of a Bitcoin, and that'll cost you $8,300. By the way, to be in the top 5% of Bitcoin holders, last time I did this in September, it cost like $2,800. Bonkers cheap. And again, special. Now, why do we care? Because of this. All right. The good news is, if you look at the number of addresses that are out there, call it 50 million. It's really 55 or whatever. Thank you, Mr. Hammer, for coming. You can see here 99.4% of the planet does not own Bitcoin. So we are so early. Bitcoiners represent about 0.6% of the world. Okay. Now, a couple of other cool stats as well that I find interesting. If Bitcoin was evenly distributed to the 8 billion people on the planet, and there are 19.6, I don't even know what this number is. It's so big. But this is the number of Satoshis in circulation. I don't want to screw it up and get it wrong because I'm so tired right now. But assuming 8 billion, there are 246,100 Satoshis per person. Okay? That is 0.002466 Bitcoin per person. And the cost to get that average is $154 today. So not too bad. Now, where are we in terms of Bitcoin adoption? Fun fact, this is kind of fascinating. If we look along the spectrum of cell phones, we are at the Nokia brick stage, or whatever that phone was back in the day. We're going back to circa, literally, if you imagine adoption being based on the actual cell phone world, that began in 1991, the first cell phones are out. We are now probably somewhere around 1997, 1998 in terms of adoption. We have a long way to go. And this maps directly to this. Not many people had cell phones in the early mid-90s. It was a rare luxury apart from the usual suspects. So the point of this is, okay, adoption is going to go up. Therefore, and over time, Bitcoin distribution will become more fair. More wallets will hold smaller amounts of Bitcoin. And a lot of other good stuff will happen over time. And as it's adopted more, due to Metcalfe's law, the price will go up. So all of this noise in the market right now, Bitcoin is at $63,000, $62,600. People are freaking out. It's always the 30 days after the halving, Bitcoin goes up or down 5%. That's it. After the 30 days, then it goes up. So again, we have another 20 days to go, but that could all change tonight. So we'll be watching very carefully if the ETFs have an impact. And as I reported this morning on DCA, the local ETF fund managers believe they could bring in $25 million in the first day, which would match the US ETFs that launched on January 11th, 2024. So with that, everybody, hit the like if you like the content. I hope you enjoyed it. I love doing this. Thank you to the 6,000 people watching. Oh, I forgot one last thing as well. I do have the survey. Let's see what the survey says, as they say. If I can pull it up, I'll do a screenshot of it. Bear with me 1 second. We have 1,400 votes in the survey, and I think I can pop it into this. Bear with me as I juggle this. Here we go. This is the survey live. So of the audience watching, from 1,400 votes, 13% are krills, 0 to 0.1 Bitcoin. 30% are shrimp, 0.1 to 1. 51% are crabs with 1 to 10 Bitcoin. And 6% are dolphins, 100 to 1,000 Bitcoin. I think we missed a big step of the 10 to 100. And a refresher what these animals mean. Dolphins, 100 to 1,000. We didn't do the octopus and fish, unfortunately, but it doesn't matter. Either way, it's stunning to me how many people are whole coiners in this audience. Way more than 2/3, I would estimate, based on this math. 2/3 of you are whole coiners, and congratulations. Keep your security locked down and do not give it to anybody. Oh, one other thing as well, because I know this question will come up, is how many MicroStrategy shares you need to have to be a whole coiner. So I'm gonna pull this up right now live too, if I can. Bear with me. Screen share. Does this work? Yes. So we got the chat on the left. So the number of shares you need to be a whole coiner in Bitcoin in MicroStrategy today is 82.366 shares, ladies and gentlemen. That's how many you need. So with that, hope you enjoyed the show, and thank you for letting me to bounce around a little bit. Hit the like on the way out. We much appreciate it, and so does the team. And I'll see you all tomorrow morning for the Bitcoin Daily. Let's see if it's a good day. I did notice the BlackRock volumes are 4x grayscale, which is normally a good sign. We'll see if the American ETF buyers return. Thank you all. Have a great day. Thank you to the mods in the chat. Take care, everybody. Keep your security locked down and do not trust anybody. And there will never be a time where somebody will give you double your crypto back. Okay? So ignore all the scams. Thanks. Bye-bye.